So that's where all of these products come in. And the question is, the problem is the FDA takes a long time to catch up. And with that, like, there's going to be a period of time where things are labeled in a way that is not maybe totally accurate or totally reflective of how your body is metabolizing them. So I wanted to talk a little bit about that. Okay, better without the AirPods. Sorry about that, guys. Okay, so the reason this topic came up more recently is because there's a product called Smart Sweets, and you were familiar with them. Basically, they were sweetened before with isomalto oligosaccharides. That was, that was what was in them. And I can pull up the old label too, because that will help a little bit. But they were labeled as having 28 grams of fiber in a 90-calorie bag.
Oh boy.
Have you ever eaten these?
No, I'm afraid to.
Okay.
Anything that has that 28 grams of fiber and a very small calorie amount usually means there was some calculus done to the nutrition label to make it so it's finessed, so it's only 90 calories, and usually there's other things in there that typically will leave you in your bathroom for the next 3 days.
Yeah. Okay. So obviously, there's the laxative effect,
yes.
Which is number one. But when you see something that has, this product, for example, had 90 calories, and before they reformulated it was 33 grams of total carbs and 28 grams of fiber.
Okay.
The first ingredient was prebiotic soluble fiber from tapioca.
Oh boy. Okay.
Gelatin, chicory root fiber, citric acid, malic acid, blah, 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 stevia.
Woof. Okay.
So with everything kind of having to go through the new rules for the FDA and get relabeled, basically, if you have more than $10 million in food sales, you would have to comply with the new FDA fiber labeling laws by January 2020. And if you have less than $10 million in sales, then you have to comply by 2021. So what I think we're going to see is some of these smaller, newer companies with these low carb products are going to be having major changes in their labels within the next year. So this company came out and they released a statement. They sent out on their ambassador kind of email, like they send to RDs, saying, we want you to know we're using this new sweetener now. It's allulose, and this is what it is and the reasons we're doing it. And of course, just like anything in marketing, you tell people why it's better. It's better now that we're doing this for you to improve the product. And I think that allulose is going to be used a lot more too as we become more familiar with it. But people started freaking out because they saw this food that they had been eating for the last year or so that they thought had 28 grams of fiber and 5 grams of net carb, and now all of a sudden it's relabeled and it has a lot less than this. What's going on? Was I eating the wrong thing this whole time, or what was it doing? For someone with type 1 diabetes, it is a way more important. Would be a real big issue. For someone who's just managing their weight, it's annoying. But yeah. Can you talk a little bit about even how you dose your insulin for a food like this?
So a lot of times, you look at fiber, and I know the prime example would be those Kirkland knockoff Quest bar looking things would be the number one culprit. First of all, they're delicious, but they have that tapioca starch, and then there's these other prebiotic corn fiber, wherever these things are. A bunch of them ultimately are related to isomalto oligosaccharide. And so I never used to look at this stuff. I used to I'm a dietitian, so I like to think I know a lot. And I would eat one of those Kirkland bars, or I'd eat a Quest bar, and they would say, oh, it's only 6 grams of carbs. So I would say, okay, let me dose for 6 grams. And I'd watch my blood sugar go from 80 to 280 for legitimately no reason. And so I know with Smart Sweets, I haven't had those personally, but there could be a similar situation. And what's happening a lot of the time with these particular fibers is, for example, the IMOs, the isomalto oligosaccharides, which are commonly used in these protein bars, in actual lab testing, they were metabolized at I think it was an 83% rate of maltose. So that means that however many grams of fiber, if it's 18 grams of fiber, 15 of those grams are going to act as a carb, and not just a carb, but a maltose. And maltose is going to make your blood sugar go very high very quickly. So that's really effective as 3 grams of fiber. So suddenly you're saying that this bar had 24 grams of carbs and you thought it had 18 grams of fiber, you thought it was 6. Well, the reality is that it was 24 grams of carbs. It's going to be acting like 21, and not just 21, but 21 high glycemic, very fast acting carbs. So your blood sugar is going to be in a very different place. And granted, some people are more and less affected by it, but in the grand scheme, that's why a lot of people with type 1 especially would watch their blood sugars just skyrocket for what seemed like no reason.
Right. So that's a very big issue, obviously, if you're managing your blood sugar. But from a diet perspective, there's a few things. So I personally tell my clients to look at, if you're eating a packaged food that has fiber, you're not counting it towards fiber for the most part. Certain things like chia seeds or whatever is different. But if you're eating a protein bar and it says 20 grams of fiber, eat it, but don't think you're getting 20 grams of fiber.
Yeah, exactly. 100%. Like I tell people, I'm like, if your fiber's coming from an apple, or it's coming from celery, or coming from a fruit or a vegetable, or even like a whole grain type thing, you're probably okay. At least for people, I'll tell them subtract that if you're looking at a blood sugar perspective. If it's coming from something in a package, be very mindful of where it came from.
So, and also then it could, Jen is listening and driving. Hi,
Shout
Jenna.
out, Jenna.
Thanks. So basically the other implication is that if they were counting it as a fiber, then they probably weren't accounting for the calories in it. So you have, again, if you were losing weight this whole time and you included these things, then whatever, like, just know that you might be eating more calories than you thought, especially if that's the only reason you're eating them. And that's what I see more often than anything, is that people will go for these products because they see that they have so much fiber in them and they don't even like them. Like, they'd rather have a real Swedish fish. And they're probably basically eating a real Swedish fish.
They just
and that's where I get upset.
Well, yeah, because then you're making this relationship with food totally different. Oh, I need to have the special Swedish fish, when you ultimately are having basically the same thing. So why just enjoy it and portion control it rather than have the knockoff brand that's still not as effective as you think it is? Right.
And I mean, you might at least you know what you're getting with the Swedish fish.
Right.
So you don't have to guess. So someone had asked about the raw Rev bars. The raw Rev bars, I believe, have tapioca, but let me just look them up.
I was just saying, I'm doing the same thing.
Yeah, these are very popular, the raw Rev Glow bars.
Let's see. Here we go. They are, God, this thing keeps moving.
So they have a raw Rev superfood blend. It's a bunch of vegan proteins, basically. Fine. And then isomalto oligosaccharides, prebiotic fiber from tapioca.
Very fancy.
There's 13 grams of fiber in here.
Probably
some of it might be coming from the hemp and the pea protein a little bit, and the flaxseed, but most of it's probably coming from that IMO. So this company is probably going to be relabeling.
They're going to have to, because I mean, it's, whether they taste good or not, you have a situation where you're still absorbing the majority of that. But another way you can check if they're actually subtracting it is you can literally, if you want to take the time, go through the label and say, okay, there's this many carbs, there's this much protein, there's this much fat, and using, 4 calories per carb and 4 calories per protein and 9 per fat. Go through and check if the math works out. If it works out, then you're fine. But if it doesn't, then you know that they're finessing it.
And it rarely works out. So if we looked at here, so 11 grams of fat times 9 is 99 calories. If we had 19 grams of total carbs times 4 is 76. And 11 grams of protein times 4 is 44. So
120. It should be 220.
120. Yeah. It should be like 219. Well, and it's 180.
Not
So
bad.
not that far off. For some of these I've seen way further.
Oh yeah.
And that's the thing, you never really know what, because the FDA leaves it up to discretion of some of these food companies. You don't even know what they're using to count the fiber.
No, or what method of, like in this case,
count.
it's off by 40. So it's like, what percent are they using? Who knows? We have no idea.
Right. And to me, I'm like, okay, if I'm taking in, I know as a dietitian and someone who's tracked macros that if I'm taking in 40 extra calories per day, I know that I have a margin of error when I'm tracking my food because I don't weigh things anymore or do anything of that perfectly. But I'm aware of that. If you're taking in here and there, if you're eating a bunch of these products a day and you're taking in 40 calories extra here and 40 calories extra there, you could be taking in a couple of hundred calories over what you think per day.
And I just had that. I just had someone start working with me, and we went through some of the things, and she had like one of those meal prep companies, and I went through and ran the numbers, and it was off by 150 for every single meal. So if you eat 3 of those a day, that's almost 500 calories a day, and people wonder, I'm not losing weight because they're not calculating it exactly correct.
Right.
So that's
and
huge.
The other thing we can talk about like other fibers too, is that your body can take soluble fiber and convert it into short chain fatty acids. So maybe this isn't an issue for your blood sugar, but it is going to contribute calories to your diet. Especially if you're in a deficit.
Yeah, you throw the deficit in there, then everything starts to get extra fun and extra. And then you throw blood sugar, in my case, in there, and people I work with case, and it's like now you've got the deficit that's going to change your insulin sensitivity, but then the soluble fiber that could be converted to the short chain fatty acids, but could also not be. And then,
Yeah, and so that's why we always say at the end of the day, it's always best to eat real food. Not to say that a bar isn't real, it's real.
Right.
But when we do have these new ingredients, when something seems too good to be true, it usually is. It's like if we could get 28 grams of fiber in a gummy bear, that's your entire intake for the day. That'd be crazy.
Right. And it's, again, one of those things where if it seems too good to be true, look into why it seems so good and what the claims are, and is it actually substantiated? Because these bars and these things have their purpose. If you need a bar and a pinch to get 20 grams of protein, that's fine. You have your purpose of having it, but people rely on them so much. And it's like, you should not be saying, I'm going to have this protein bar with 15 grams of fiber, and that's half my fiber for the day.
Yeah.
It's cool. It's bonus, but it's not even legit fiber when you look into it more.
Yeah, that's exactly what I tell my clients is that get to 30 grams of fiber per day from whole foods. If you get extra from these little things, that's great, but that's not, we want to make sure that if you're getting 30 grams of fiber from fruits and vegetables, you're eating a lot of fruits and vegetables and you're probably full all day and satisfied. So it doesn't leave a lot of room for these other things. But again, so there are bars. Are there bars that you recommend as someone who has tested your blood sugar and knows how it affects you?
See, then you get into are there bars that I recommend that don't have this fiber, but then also have the right quality of protein and aren't like soy protein based? And the best one I've found in my experience for myself and the people I work with are 1 bars so far. And those still have their 8 grams of whatever fiber. Right. They still have, and they have that too. So it's not perfect, but from a blood sugar perspective, they're easier to manage than some of these other ones. Because I mean, I've played the let me have a Kirkland bar and see what happens game multiple times just to see what happens, and I've gone up 250 points from just a bar, which as a low carb bar should not be the case.
Wow. Yeah. So 1 bar is okay, and then I guess otherwise you could always do something that maybe doesn't have a lot of fiber in it or has like a lower amount of protein, but at least kind of what you're doing, and maybe pair it with like a string cheese or something.
Exactly. And I
or a hard-boiled egg.
Well, I try to have people that I work with pair it with things, like not saying, hey, this is your one snack and you're good with this. It's like, have this plus some real food. Because at the end of the day, like some of the people I have even say, like they almost feel badly when they're having these supplements. I'm like, they're there for a reason. You have protein powder for a reason, but don't like rely on it as if it's nothing, like there's nothing else. It's like that is there in a pinch.
Yeah.
Get real food when you can.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Oh, one bar, literally like ONE bar. They're delicious.
Yeah.
Literally.
They are good. They're similar to like Quest and Taste, I feel like. And
I think they're better. And I know that's a bold claim.
I actually think they don't really have as much of an aftertaste.
Yeah.
But, so the Healthy Addiction was asking about products like edamame pasta or Great Low Carb pasta. So those are kind of two different animals. So the edamame pasta, typically the only ingredient in there is the edamame. So how would you say that affects you? I mean,
that or like I've seen those black bean pastas before too that have a ton of fiber. It's black beans, so it's going to affect you the way black beans would, or in this case, the edamame. It's going to affect you the same way as edamame. So to me, you subtract it. It's still considered a whole food. There's not this artificial lab-created fiber that's suddenly added to make it seem like it's better than it is.
Right. That's always my MO too. So like that's why I love the edamame pasta so much, because it is just edamame. It's just more concentrated. So it's great. The Great Low Carb pasta though. I want to look that one up. Let's see if it has franken fiber. There was one company, I think it was called LC Foods. Like everyone was eating these bagels for a while, and like all of a sudden one day you went on Amazon and like the label went from like being, I don't know, like 10 grams of carbs to like 40. Whoa. Because another thing is like if it's a small company, you'd be even more wary. Yeah. You know, if like Fiber One is putting something out, like General Mills, they have a lot more scrutiny that they're under. But if you're like some random company selling on like a keto Instagram page, I don't know. I mean, I have my own beef with Fiber One from a blood sugar perspective, but that's just a whole separate animal. Because yeah, there's fiber, but it doesn't mean it's low glycemic and not gonna make your blood sugar go to 400. Yeah, so why would that be in something like that? Just because you have to look at the entire thing. It's like, cool, there's 12 grams or 10 grams of fiber, but what else are they dressing the fiber up with? Are they putting on your tapioca syrup and all the other things that are still going to make your blood sugar go high? Like, just because there's fiber does not mean you're off the hook. And it's like, great, only have to take a little bit of insulin. It's like, no, there's still other things in there. Yeah. So it will still, you could eat that black bean pasta and not take any insulin, and it will still affect your blood sugar if you have diabetes. Mm-hmm. So yeah. Oh, someone asked me to go on Fiber One and blood sugar to expand, but keep going on the Great Low Carb. Yeah, so the Great Low Carb pasta, the nutrition facts are for 2 ounce, which is a typical pasta serving, 100 calories already, like red flag. 25 grams of carbs, 18 grams of fiber, 12 grams of protein. The first ingredient is pea protein isolate. That's where the protein is coming from. And then oat fiber, wheat fiber, egg whites, and wheat gluten, and then semolina. My first question is, does that actually taste good? I've not tried this one. I've tried other ones like that, and I personally don't think that they do. But if you're, I guess, like when you're on keto and like that's the closest thing you have to pasta. I guess. Okay. Just to me, it just sounds like it would taste like paper. But that's like, yeah. Yeah. That's what they kind of do. Yeah, I don't know. In terms of that, like it still has semolina anyway, and to me, it's like, cool. There's 18 grams of fiber. It may be legit fiber if it's oat fiber. Mm-hmm. It's at least not lab created fiber. But again, when anything like you said has 100 calories, that's too perfect. Right. They wanted it to be 100 calories, so they're gonna finesse whatever they got to do to make it. Like, I don't know. I don't like it. Something smells a little off to me. I'd rather you just eat regular pasta and count the carbs. Like, precisely. It's not that much, many more calories. Like, I don't know. And to the keto people, and mix it with spaghetti squash or zoodles or something. Well, to the keto people can just eat zoodles. Like, Yeah.
make something out of vegetables instead of this, because I'm 98% sure that this is going to say 25 grams of carbs and 18 fiber, and will still, if you have diabetes, go mess up your blood sugar, which in the keto people's case will be enough to knock them out of ketosis. Then what's the point of doing
Right.
keto? And
Right.
you're going to spend a ton of money. You're going to spend $8 a box for what? You're spending $2 a serving on this pasta, and it's going to kick you out of keto. Like, save your money, make zoodles, and know you're going to stay in keto and get all the
Yeah.
other benefits. That's just me. I mean, maybe I'm cynical,
Yeah.
but
And if you're just, like a lot of people just see carbs as bad, or, they want to just keep the carbs down as low as they can. But if you're doing that and you're taking them in probably all of this time anyway, then just, I'd so much rather you learn to eat them and feel good and okay with eating them.
carbs are your
It's like
friend.
you lost the weight eating them, you just didn't know.
Right. And it's like that thing where, for example, like if you're measuring out, you don't measure out peanut butter and you don't know, and you've been taking 5 tablespoons the whole time. You've always been off. You've always thought it was 2, but you're counting. You've been eating 5, but you thought it was 2. Like, you've always been off by 3 tablespoons. It's the same thing.
Right.
You've always been eating this food. You're still losing weight. So now just learn how to actually eat the real food and don't stress about it.
Right. Exactly. So someone had asked, the sucring fiber syrup. Have you seen that?
I actually have not seen that.
It's literally isomalto. It's IMO syrup.
Oh, that sounds like a terrible life.
I was telling you not to. Yeah.
Oh boy, this is gonna be righteous.
This one I don't.
Oh, here we go. It's literally IMO syrup and then barley malt extract. As if that wasn't enough. You didn't get enough of a hit from the IMO. Now you've just added barley malt, and we all know how that's going to go.
So it's 70 calories for 2 tablespoons, 31 carbs, and 28 grams of fiber.
Frankenfiber is not the way to go. If you want your fiber, get it from like real places.
So this, I would say, I don't like to say like don't eat, like just things are no. I never say that. This don't. No. I would rather see you like just put some honey on it.
Just like a little bit.
You could use a teaspoon, especially if you don't have diabetes.
Yeah, well, you can still eat it with diabetes. Just know how much you're putting on. Yeah, absolutely.
Just know how much you're doing. Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's something that it's way too Sade.
It just, if you're trying that hard, just try that hard on the actual real food side of things instead of these like alternatives. From a fiber, like you want that alternative. I will say Walden Farms has no effect on your blood sugar.
I was going to say, like, almost go back to the old school stuff. Like, unfortunately, I was eating Walden Farms when I was 15, so that's sad. But, like, it's all chemicals.
It's like water with some weird chemical-y things, but at least you know it isn't going to affect anything.
Yeah.
That stuff to me is always kind of, it's kind of like red flagged a little, but then I've tested it and it doesn't do anything to your blood sugar.
It's shady.
How can it?
Right.
How can it? It's literally
nothing in there.
It's like flavorings. It's like when you get like those sparkling waters that have like natural and artificial flavorings. It's like the same stuff, but in syrup form. So props to whoever played in the chem lab to make that happen.
Yeah. Have you ever tried? They have a peanut butter and they have an Alfredo sauce.
I have not tried Alfredo sauce, but I've tried They had like a cinnamon butter thing.
Caramel sauce syrup.
No, but they had like a cinnamon butter with like raisins or something. It was like peanut butter with raisins. It was something really weird, and it was an acquired taste, to put it nicely.
Yeah.
The marshmallow fluff was also quite. It was a little out there. little out there.
Yeah.
But better that than the IMO syrup.
Yeah. So let's see. Do 1 bars have IMO or Chalk Zero? Chalk Zero.
1 bars. I actually.
Let's see. Look.
I would say let's see how bad it actually is.
1 bars. I saw they made like a 1 Basics or something, where they try to like brand it into being like a more natural type of thing.
Oh, I haven't even gone that deep into it. Let's see.
Well, I saw they released like they had like 2 lines, kind of like their stevia line or something, and then
One bars do have
another one.
IMOs. They do have IMOs in them, but they have less IMOs than the other one. So it's kind of like the pick your poison. It's like, I'm not counting the fiber towards my life, but at least I know it tastes decent and I'm at least getting an okay protein source.
Mm-hmm.
But like, again, is it ideal? No. Do I eat one every single day, 3 times a day? No. But at least
No.
it's easier to manage your blood sugar relative to something that has more.
Yeah. The Chalk Zero says liquid vegetable fiber is the first ingredient. What would that be? I don't even know.
I don't even know if I want to know what that is. But
it also has monk fruit extract. You want to talk a little bit about monk fruit?
I don't know tons about monk fruit, except for it's one of the more natural versions that doesn't seem to have a whole lot of effect on blood sugar. Because everything in my world is, does it affect your blood sugar or does it not? And this thing doesn't really seem to, from what I've
so we're going at it for both. So monk fruit doesn't seem to affect your blood sugar. It is considered a natural sweetener. So stevia and monk fruit are both considered natural sweeteners. Natural doesn't automatically mean better or good, but it is more natural. It also means that there's a little bit less that we know about it. So I always say aspartame is really, really well studied. So we have more information about it. Stevia and monk fruit have less studies about it, but from what I've read and seen and any research and my own personal experience with it, I think it's a fine sweetener.
Yeah, I'm on the same page with you. Like, if something has monk fruit versus like erythritol, I will pick the monk fruit every time. Mm-hmm. And then because there's so many of these other ones, like any sugar alcohol, you would prefer to have a stevia or a monk fruit ahead of it. So, and then the other thing with sugar alcohols that people don't always talk about is those also do impact your blood sugar. Just people don't really love to talk about that either. But that's a whole separate type of can of worms.
So like erythritol or...
Erythritol is my favorite one for that. Yeah, erythritol can affect your blood sugar. Doesn't mean it will, but it has the capacity. Because the thing is with the sugar alcohols, they're not calorie free per se. So something does count. I don't know the formula per se, but
I think it's counted as 2 calories per gram instead of 4.
That sounds about right. Because people are like, oh, you can subtract.
I don't know where they even got that from. Like, I've never been able to find it. I did FDA food labeling, and there's no formula for it, which is crazy.
Well, because they always would say for people with diabetes, oh, just subtract half the carbs when it has sugar alcohols. Or you can subtract all the sugar alcohol. And I mean, maybe. Oh, what a great comment.
Shout out.
Shout out. Thank you,
King
John. But no, it's one of those things where I don't know where they got it from, but they're just like, oh, it must not affect as much, so we'll just say half and go with it. And then people start to, with the subtracting fiber thing, with net carbs, people start to go at all sorts of weird lengths. Let me subtract sugar alcohol. Let me only subtract if the food has more than 5 grams of fiber. And I don't know who made up all these rules. Just like pick something and stick with it. Don't make it calculus.
Right. Just be consistent about it. Especially if you don't have blood sugar issues. It's like more straightforward.
Yeah. Make your life easier. Don't try to make things complicated just to seem cool or trendy or like on point. Like, oh, I'm doing keto vegan and I subtract all my fiber and like, it doesn't keto vegan CrossFit and I'm an atheist. Like, it's all, it's like all of the talking points at once. It's like, I just don't make things more complicated than they have to be.
Yeah. But we're saying that from this position of RDs, but it's hard because when I go on Instagram and I open something, I'm like, what the hell is this cereal now? Or what the hell is this new, syrup that came out? And I'm like, I got to look. I go down a rabbit hole and I'm on Reddit threads from like 10 years ago, like with these crazy people. But it's not so straight. It doesn't seem so straightforward, but it is kind of straightforward.
Just again, they're making it more complicated than it has to be. And even someone came to me that other day. We had worked together for 6 months, and she was done, and it was ready to move on. And she's like, "This stuff isn't that hard. Just people make it hard." And it's like, it's really not. Just
yeah.
Like, oh. I don't understand. Like,
looking.
it's like people want like a badge of honor. Like, oh, I'm going on this keto quest and I want to be extra. Like, no, just do it. And I don't know. I'll get off my soapbox, but
Yeah, I know. So Frankenfiber, that's a good one.
that was my term I used. I love it.
Fiber Gourmet, that's one that I really like. It still has like 41 grams of carbs and only, well, not only, it has 19 grams of fiber, and the label adds up. So they do use semolina. So again, like there is going to be definitely a blood sugar spike. And then the fiber that they're using in here is they're using a wheat gluten and modified wheat starch to boost the fiber.
Should be okay.
Yeah.
Or even
I really like their products.
those tortillas you can get. There's like, I have them right over there. Like the high fiber, like lower carb, extreme wellness or Olay or whatever. Those are totally fine because the fiber source again isn't IMO. It's not one of those weird things. It's just like wheat fiber.
Yes. So that's, and you know, people will ask me a lot like, well, how come I don't see you eating this product or showing this product? And it's like, if I'm not showing it, there's probably a reason. Like if I thought it was great, I'd be using it myself, because hell, if I could get that much fiber in something, I would. But I also, you know, not going to call out every brand on Instagram all the time because, you know, but I will say just be careful with those things and just, you know, do your research and be wary too. It's like, I always remember like the Seinfeld episode with the frozen yogurt. I don't know if you're a Seinfeld fan, but
I don't know anything.
They were eating all this frozen yogurt shop opened and it was like so low calorie. And then they like somehow acquired a sample of it and brought it to a lab and found out it was like so much more than they were saying because they were all getting fat. They were eating it all the time. But it's the same thing. And we've seen it so many times over the years with these food products that like are relabeled or they're reformulated. And there's a reason for that.
And that just happened with, it's not Nuts and More, but it's a thing similar where it was one of those like protein
peanut
butter type things. And they brought it to a lab and they went through it and people had thought they were having like 200 calories per serving and a bunch of protein. It turned out it was literally like sugar peanut butter with literally the macros were ton of sugar, normal peanut butter protein, and a lot more fat than they expected. It was like Nutella with a tad of protein. But people thought they were having 15 grams of protein the whole time. And so it's stuff like that where you do have to be a little bit skeptical. You do have to look a little more into it instead of just blindly saying, well, my friend told me this was good, so it must be.
Yeah. And that's where I say, like, I'd rather just have the regular peanut butter and get protein separately.
Right. Or do like
a peanut flour, like a powdered peanut butter, and have protein with it. So,
or if you want Nutella, just eat Nutella and get your protein separately than that and enjoy the Nutella that you had.
Right. As much as I'd love to say there's like a great Nutella, this new protein packed Nutella on the market, like we're not there yet.
No, when we are. I was going to say, when we are, please, whoever decides to invent that, let me know.
Exactly. So GG crackers also, and there's a reason why I do recommend those. And I recommend them, I will say, to people who like them, which is not many. They're a little bit cardboardy, but they're straight brand. So, and that's why they taste like cardboard. That's why they don't taste like Nutella. So if you like them and you can tolerate them,
go for it.
Go for it.
But if you're looking for, this is 6 grams of carbs and this is 12 calories and it tastes like heaven, probably something wrong with it.
No, it doesn't taste like heaven, so that's how you know it's...
Well, exactly that, but if you find something where it's like, this is going to be great and it tastes like cake.
It's a bagel, right?
Right, here's a bagel, it's only 30 calories and it's 40 grams of fiber. No, it's not probably an actual bagel, and it's probably also not 40 grams of fiber. Yeah.
Yeah, GG crackers have been around for a long time. Whatever you want to say about them, but those, fine, by all means, I think.
They're not going away anytime soon.
If you need help getting fiber outside of like a fruit or a vegetable or a bean or a grain or anything like that, you can do it.
Not a bad, not a bad option.
Yeah. Okay, so Raquel by Raquel. Do you follow her, Ben? She's great.
No, I do not, but I probably should become friends with Raquel.
Yeah, Raquel by Raquel. So what stabilizes your blood sugar when you eat a high carb meal, protein or fat?
Well, the good, I don't say the good answer, but they both do. The protein is the more preferred option, but when you have that carb plus that fat, your number is going to go up, which is great. And the fat will stabilize it, but will also prevent it from potentially going back down. So instead of your normal curve where you start here and you go up and then you come back down in 2 hours, you'll go up and you'll hang out up here for like 6 hours and then come down.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the thing. So protein ideally they'll both do it. If your blood sugar is low, either will do it. Protein's the preferred source for me because it's not going to affect you for as long. And fat plus carbs, not to say it's a bad combination, but for blood sugars, you have to be very aware of how you're dosing and all that because you could end up with a high blood sugar for a long time.
It's complicated.
It's a great beast, but I hope that helped, Raquel.
The 2020 bars, I actually haven't eaten them. I think they're soluble corn fiber.
Yeah. Let's see. Soluble corn fiber means it's going to be in the questionable category.
One day we should just do a YouTube video. We'll give you a bunch of bars and test your blood sugar.
I was going to do that with Katie when I was in Detroit, and then we just ran out of time to do it. We did ice cream instead. Do you delay?
I can just get a blood glucose monitor and do it for myself, right? But I guess it wouldn't
totally.
be.
I can hook you up. You just tell me when, and I have the company.
I got a dad who's diabetic.
So but if you want your own stash, I got you on that too.
Ooh, okay.
One drop would love you forever.
Really?
Yeah.
I would do it.
Oh, I feel like we both should, as like the person with diabetes and the person without, like what happens.
Would you guys be interested in that?
Yeah, would y'all like that? Because that would be amazing. At least I think it would be fun.
Yeah. Oh, she does it all the time. You could do it with us. Yeah, that'd be cool.
That'd be super fun. Nerding out on the science world. One Drop wanted me to do that for them anyway, so I'm totally down. Someone said, do you delay or do partial boluses often? 100%. I don't necessarily delay, but I'll do.
I know you did that when we were at lunch.
Yeah, I'll do partial. I'll do like an extended. Sometimes you do like a part up front and part extended. It all depends on where you're at and what you're doing. But yeah, you've seen.
I guess if you know what you're gonna eat or not.
Yeah, if you know what you're gonna eat, and then when you're on a pump, of course that part's easier. But then you're on injections. Well, now you're taking 6 injections for one meal. But if it helps your blood sugar, I mean, you got to do what you got to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
the bars from Costco, those are the Kirkland bars where
not the best choice.
Yeah, not the best choice.
You can do better.
So 1 bars over those.
I would pick 1 bars over those, but at the same time, 1 bar still have IMOs in them. So I would say periodic 1 bars. Beyond that, like just eat real food.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, like something that's been really helpful for me too is what's it called? Energy bites. Energy bites have been my go-to as of late, and they're these little baby ones. They're only like 120 calories, like 10 grams of carbs. They're not high fiber at all. They're not marketed as such. They have all like the non-GMO and they have the organic and all that other stuff, but they have 8 to 10 grams of protein and they're not massive. They're just
what brand are they?
They're literally Energy. I'll go grab one. Hang on.
Calling me at the same time.
This is like my.
But you could also make your own energy balls too.
This is my obsession as of late, and they do amazing with my blood sugar.
So where do you get them?
They're right now online, but they're going to be in hopefully Whole Foods pretty soon. And then I don't know if they're on Amazon. They're on energy-bite.com, but they are phenomenal. Like this right here, 120 calories, 6 fat, 9 grams of carbs, 1 fiber, 10 protein. and then you literally eat 2 of these, and it's equivalent to a regular protein bar, but everything is organic. Everything that says like organic agave, there's flaxseed, there's literally everything is fantastic, and they taste phenomenal.
And
that's
so that's even something you can make,
you could probably make things.
If you want something that's portable, it doesn't have to be a bar. You could make something ahead of time and bring it with you. I like make oatmeal squares. So I'll make like a tray, and I can post the recipe. I share it with my clients, but like a tray with oatmeal. I usually do a protein powder, some chia or flaxseed, PB2, a bunch of different things, bake it, and then you can just put it in tinfoil and bring it with you. And you could freeze them too.
I mean, and the thing is with those, like, it's if you're willing to put the time in. There's a lot of lazy people out there. I'm entering this site.
I consider myself kind of late. I'm lazy. If there's a better option, I'm going to take it. If there's like a shortcut, I'm going to take it. But for this stuff, sometimes there isn't a better option. And if you know it's going to help you reach your goals, put in the time.
Right. And people,
you don't have fun with it too. I always say, put on a podcast, like just try to enjoy it as well. Don't let it become
enjoy the process.
Mm-hmm.
So many people
I know my clients actually really like it because you feel so proud of yourself after you take the time to do something like that, to do something good for yourself. You do feel really good after, and it becomes worth it. And then when you're set up for the whole week, and it's usually a lot cheaper too.
And it just takes all the guesswork out of it. So instead of every time you go to cook, it's 20-25 minutes. It's like, well, I already did it once for an hour and I have everything for the whole week. So now you have more time and still quality food that you don't have to think about.
Yeah. You love that. Or you can make a chia seed pudding or something ahead of time. It doesn't require cooking, and you could take it with you as a snack. Of course, it's still a little bit of work, but you literally just mix chia seeds and like almond milk in.
It's not that hard. Or like
in a jar, and it sits.
Yeah. Greek yogurt, I know obviously isn't going to be the most in terms of portable with refrigeration, but at the same time where you live, it might be. But like Greek yogurt, protein powder, peanut butter, boom, you just 50 grams of protein. You still got a little fiber from the peanut butter. You got a little fat, not super, super carb heavy. Boom, done. Yep. Little things. It's just about thinking about the little things and just thinking or working smarter, not harder.
Mm-hmm. Someone had asked about what's more important, carbs or net carbs. So this will definitely depend also, like if you're diabetic, if you're looking to lose weight, if you're looking to manage your weight, you want to take it from the diabetes standpoint first.
Yeah, I mean, from a diabetes standpoint, to me, because I get a ton of people saying, do I subtract fiber? Do I not? What do I do? My opinion is you just pick one or the other. You either subtract or you don't. I recommend you do, because in those instances where you do get something like that, like those tortillas, for example, that have 11 grams of fiber, if you take for 16 grams of carbs, you will go low inevitably. So for blood sugar. So I ultimately say just subtract if it's, and because some people say 5 grams or more, subtract. If there's 2 grams and then you have 2 grams from here and 1 gram from here, now you have 5. So subtract across the board.
You could always take more insulin, but you can't.
It's a little easier to do that. You would have to then consume more. You'd have to have more carbs, and then you have more carbs. And then if you're trying to lose weight, that's going to make it extra difficult.
And then if you overshoot,
then you're going up, and you end up doing one of these, and you don't. I just posted a picture today of like what reality looks like sometimes for your Dexcom and your blood sugars, and you don't want to be going up and down. So in diabetes world, I would focus on the net carbs, provided you're looking at the source of the fiber in the event that it's from something that was created in a facility.
Yeah. And from a weight perspective, I would look at calories. And then I would make sure you're getting enough protein.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't stress too much about how much carbs or fat you're having. So I look at calories at the first step. Then I would look at protein. Rough estimate about a gram per pound of lean body mass, which means that if you're 250 pounds, you don't necessarily need 250 grams of protein, but give or take about a pound for lean body mass, a gram per pound of lean body mass. And then once you get the calories in check, the protein in check, I then will have people aim to get 30 grams of fiber from real food sources. And if you're doing that, then that means that your carbs are coming from really high quality sources, and whatever's left over is fat.
And I tell people fat and carbs are like having a car that's on electric or on
Yep.
gas. It's just a substrate of energy that you can choose whatever one works better for you. It's not like,
Yes.
oh my God, I went over on carbs, under, and fat. Cool. You're fine. Relax.
Yeah.
Protein, calories.
Yeah.
Major keys.
Yeah, so at least the way that I have my clients look at macronutrients, I'm not like if it fits your macros where you're hitting every number exactly, because that takes your intuition out of it. They're just targets, especially if weight loss is your goal. You don't need to be as specific with it. So, like it's helpful. I always give ranges so people can know where they are. One caveat to that is that if you are binging because you're eating so low carb, which I see all the time. 99% of my clients come to me with that issue. Then I would tell you, until you get that under control, make sure you're keeping your carbs at a higher level. And because you can't be intuitive if you're out of control.
No.
So, use the numbers. Maybe you have to be more structured and follow like a more structured plan for a little bit. And then once you're really balanced and have a good relationship with food, you can say, okay, do I feel better eating lower carb, higher fat, or vice versa?
That's literally the exact sequence. It's like you can't say, oh, I'm doing this calorie restriction and I'm doing this carb restriction. And because the more restriction you start putting, the more likely you are to go down that slippery slope of, well, I look at that cookie and the cookie looks good. And now I ate the cookie and now I want another cookie. And it just becomes a bad situation very quickly.
Mm-hmm. So Tessie R is asking, if you're borderline diabetic, what's the amount of sugar you should not exceed? That's a good question. Sugar is like something that I find so misleading too.
I would agree 100%. I wouldn't say there's a specific number you should be like, well, you can't have more than 42 grams of sugar. Like there's no specific number, but at the same time, again, you should be looking at the quality of what you're actually choosing to put into your body. If you're having, like Alex was saying before, high quality foods, making up your carbs, you're having protein sources, you're having veggies, you're having fruits, you're having all these different pieces, then you're probably in a good spot and you probably don't have much to worry about. And ideally that would work. But at the same time, if there is an issue where you continue down the diabetes path, then in that case, I would just say, talk to me and we can go deeper into the weeds.
Yeah, if you're pre-diabetic or diabetic or anything, message Ben. If that's something that you can do, work with an RT, and they'll, why I always say I don't like to give out exact numbers is because everyone is so different, but he can look at all of your stats. He could look at your food journals and then give you, more detailed advice about those numbers. Because for someone like 150 grams of carbs would be really low, and for someone else that might be too much, but it's different.
And I've seen everything in between. Like I have a client who's on 40 grams of carbs a day. I have a client who's on 440 grams of carbs a day. They both have great A1Cs and they both have great blood sugar control. So it's something where one thing that works for one person may not work for the next, and that's okay. It's just finding what works for you. So in her case, she may need a certain amount of sugar, a certain amount of carbs per day, but I can't say that number without knowing enough about her.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So he'll tell you how to start. So Raquel was asking about if you've tested allulose specifically.
No cookies and no waffles. I used to not work with but they used to send me boxes of stuff periodically.
They like got quiet.
They got very quiet, and then we were supposed to collab again, and then they got quiet again. So I'm not sure if they're under scrutiny given all of these new changes as well. I would notice a rise from the no products. Like the cookies would say, oh, there's 4 grams of carbs, but you have to consider how they were counting the carbs. As they were saying, subtract the fiber, subtract the sugar, alcohol, I think they subtracted erythritol, and then subtract something else. It just got a little bit like allulose. That's what it was. Thank you. They had erythritol at the beginning. It was like subtract all these different things, and eventually it was kind of, again, it was that shady type of thing. And I would actually dose for them based just off subtracting the fiber, hoping the fiber was a decent source. And still, there was a rise in my blood sugar. So,
yeah. So I went to an event at Fancy about allulose. And if you want to talk to someone who like really knows a lot and is in like the trenches with the like with food science, Lauren Pincus, RD, she's your girl. She's like worked on like research and development and stuff. So she's great.
Yeah, I would, that'd be the person I would say, because I'm no expert, but I can say anecdotally, there's definitely been an impact. Yeah, I just saluted to the legend himself as well.
Coach Tony Castillo.
Yes, Captain Hydrate.
Hydrate or dihydrate. This is the Jenna Werner flag.
Oh my God.
If any of you guys follow Happy, Strong, Healthy, she's like, you would think that maybe she is sponsored by them, but
I mean, you start to wonder.
Yes.
But yeah.
Then how the new Smart Sweets with allulose will compare to their old formula.
Well,
I don't know, but I think it poses an issue for these companies because they can't label them as fiber anymore. So people who are used to subtracting the fiber look at them and they're like, oh no, I can't, like, this is too high in carbs now, when really it was always that.
Right. It's always been that, but they just were able to hide that.
Maybe they're being more transparent about it now, or they switched from whatever they were, like I said, the IMOs before, to using allulose. And allulose can be labeled, it doesn't have to be counted in calories, but it has to be labeled as a carbohydrate. But then they have a little asterisk and they say you can subtract the allulose from the net carb. Supposedly it's metabolized and it's excreted in the urine, but it's not absorbed or something like that. It's they say it has 90% fewer calories than sugar from studies, but I don't know.
But then you can subtract it, but then it's still 90% fewer calories. There's still calories, so now there's something that, no, I don't like that.
Yeah, so they're not counting it in calories. They are counting it as a carb.
Yeah. Costco bars do have IMO. They have tapioca fiber, which is the same thing as IMO.
Tapioca fiber. Yeah,
Yes.
That's the other one. So tapioca fiber is like the soluble prebiotic fiber.
Mm-hmm.
Right? A lot of times we see that.
Yes,
it is. I guess that's another one to look on. It might be labeled as such.
Yeah, it may have different IMOs have different names, and it's kind of like how sugar can come across as dextrose, maltose, lactose. Like there's different versions. You just got to be aware because they'll dress it up different to try to like just kind of throw you off.
Yeah. The effector bars. Did you look at what was in those?
I did not. I had it open and then I closed it off. Let me see. F-factor bars. High protein option.
I think it's soluble corn fiber.
I think you're right. That sounds familiar from what I read, but let me double check. Protein fiber. Do they have the label? Yes, they do. It is soluble corn fiber, first ingredient.
Okay. Glycerin. Glycerin's another one. I'm actually not that familiar with how glycerin works, honestly. I don't see it in that many things, but
I didn't think anything was wrong with glycerin. It was just like, I thought it was like fat.
Well, apparently you could subtract it too.
From carbs. That makes no sense.
That's actually not something that I see in many things, so I can look into it though.
Yeah, look into that, because I know, like, of course, glycerol, but like, I don't know.
Well, so we have a couple minutes. So with everyone's kind of which bars are good or bad, I think the bottom line is that bars already, we want to kind of send the message that there's something that you should probably be used sparingly as something, to fill in your diet if you're in a rush or you can't get something else. But also to realize that any of these bars, like the Kirkland bars or the Quest bars, or things that have a lot of fiber in them, and any of these, they're all added fiber, right? Like they're not found in the ground, these bars. So anything with added functional fiber, it's considered, I would take it with a grain of salt. So I would not count it really as you're getting 20 grams of fiber from a whole food. It's different. And I would also know that if you're eating this, my question to you is like, what if this had 200 more calories and if it had 20 more grams of carbs, would you still eat it?
I like that.
Because if you're just eating it because it's low carb, then just eat something else that is more straightforward with the same amount of calories.
And you'll probably save money in the grand scheme as well and feel better.
And your stomach won't be as bloated.
Yeah. And your stomach
What do you think about drinking Crystal Light? I don't really know.
I mean, it's fine. It's just don't drink it every day, all day, and you'll probably be okay.
Yeah. I mean, what is it, aspartame probably, I think?
I think so.
So I think we're probably both in the same camp with that. It's that aspartame is not gonna kill you.
No. Just don't like eat it by the spoonful, but
yeah, don't exactly. And if you have a rat, don't give it 300 packets of Splenda.
No.
Because that won't be good. But if you have that, especially if it helps you get more water in, it's probably fine.
Go for it. Like, yeah, there's no issue with it inherently.
Yeah. So I know we are probably going to get cut off within
kicked
2
off,
minutes.
Yeah.
But oh my God, WeO Smart Food. That is the worst brand. That's the craziest brand I've ever seen in my life.
Oh boy.
We have to talk. You have to see this. Lori, that's a really good question. Yes, Lainey, but I'm going to save this so that you can watch it after the fact. Fruit in the afternoon or only the morning? Anytime.
What? I'm looking at that WeO thing.
It's wild.
Yeah.
I don't know how this brand gets away with their labeling.
I'm just not even going to mention any comments so they don't come find me.
Well, they probably would have found me by now. So you have to look at this WeO thing.
All right.
Okay,
WeO.
So have any of you guys seen this? So they have things that look delicious. Like pizza, bread, tortillas, tortilla chips. Let's look at their chicken pot pie, for example.
Find that. Oh, Smart Pot Pie. There we go.
So they have a WeO fat blocker. That's one of the ingredients. So they're basically saying that it blocks fat somehow, like that you don't digest it or break it down. But basically, if you look at the label, my first red flag is that these labels are not done by any company, any accredited company, because you can't. This label is made on Photoshop. It's 92 calories per serving. You have to. The FDA is rounded to the nearest 5, so that's your first thing that's off. It's also nutrition facts, not digestive facts. Now,
digestive facts.
Now look at the digestive facts versus the nutrition facts. So it says they're 92 calories per serving, but the actual nutrition facts are 770 calories.
Ooh, so they're banking on that.
Basically, they put a whole bunch of ingredients in it that they're saying can be subtracted.
Because they're saying that
Unless
they're
it's
fat
a
blocker.
clip or something, you're digesting it. It's just crazy.
Oh my God, this is unreal.
This is, I think, the worst of the worst that I've seen.
That's so bad.
They have a WeO macro carbohydrate enzyme inhibitor.
Yeah, I just searched what chiral hydrophilic polysaccharide plant extract is, and it did not come up.
No, I've done extensive looking into this company, and it's really, really shady.
That thing only comes up on their website when I put it in quotes.
Yeah, they made it up. So I don't know if any of you have seen it. What's crazy is that the non-digested calories of the pizza is higher than a regular slice of pizza. Exactly. And how do they know it's not digested?
I would love to know.
How could they take that liberty? We don't even, this ingredient is not even a real thing. The company is let's see. I'll flip it around. Smart Foods, powered by Leo. Cheese pizza. It's pretty good. So like I said, here's my first red flag. First of all, it's supposed to be nutrition facts.
Digest. I'm never going to get over that.
Yeah. So calories are always going to be rounded to the nearest, like, whole number.
5 or 0.
So now here they say total digested fats is 0 grams. Total digested carbs is 6 grams. But get this, there's 6 grams of carbs, but there's 9 grams of fiber.
Because that makes total sense.
How can you do, right? Because carbs are part. But then you go up here, and it says serving size, 1 pizza, amount per serving is 540. But here you just said it was 88. Like,
but that's the digestive facts versus the nutrition facts, and digestive facts have some sorcery magic in them.
Yeah. With all these things in it that I don't know. So this company blows my mind. I saw it at, there's a store, if you guys are from, some of you I know are from Long Island, Lengo's. It's like this really weird ice cream store, like they have like low carb ice cream and stuff, and they sell all of these weird diet foods in Belmore. And they have this product. That was the first place that I saw it. It's WIO, W-I-O. WIO Smart Foods. Very strange.
Oh my God, it's so weird.
This is by far the weirdest brand I've ever seen. But there are others out there that have, like, are stretched, but this one is truly.
That's just really bad. Like, I've never seen anything like that before, and that's just bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah. So let me just make sure. Yeah, so Mandy says, I tried the muffins from Leo. They tasted so delicious, I knew they could be healthy. But it's misleading when health food stores are recommending them. I know. So with health food stores, too, like, I go to certain ones because I know I can trust, like, the buyers there, too. But it's really scary. Yeah, I would throw it away. As much as I hate to say that, like, I would not. Just go get regular pizza. You're better off. So, okay. So I know it's almost 9 o'clock. So we had a bunch of other questions on the other thing, and I couldn't grab them. The other live is up. So if you missed it, we talked all about different fibers and sweeteners and all kinds of stuff like that. I will tag you again so people know how to find you, but especially if you are dealing with any kind of blood sugar issues, diabetes, pre-diabetes, get in touch with Ben. He's your guy. So love you too. Thanks you all for joining. We'll do this again if you liked it, and let us know if you want us to eat a bunch of bars and test our blood sugar on camera, because we'll do it.
We 100% will. The only caveat's going to be is we're going to be having to wait for a long time, because remember, blood sugar is going to take.
About some other stuff.
Yeah, watch the blood sugar just go up, and it would be even cooler if we were in the same place, because then we could, like, put like a Dexcom on you and really see it all. But I
can use maybe my dad's Dexcom.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. That's a good idea.